administration of the contracts we had for the branding and for the trailer settlement and so forth. But by and large, the total development of phase one was all volunteer. But we're at the point now that volunteers can't carry this ball any further. We need some dedicated manpower at some level, some sort, to manage this effort going forward. The other thing we need is that we need an indication from the town that shows that you're interested and willing to play in this process. Now, when we talk about the manpower, there's several options for that. And I think you all are aware of these, and there's some different things under consideration. One of those options would be to have, let me back up just a second. When we talk about this development, this position, we're referring to it as a development director, for lack of any other thing, call it anything else. One of the options is to have this development director located as a embedded in the town itself, within the town structure, as a town employee. Lots of the duties, shared duties of the town manager. We had and still have our outfit Morris. There's a possibility for that, depending on how that situation works out. The second option is to position this elsewhere, but have partial financial support by the town chapter. Now, that could manifest itself in several ways. Chatham First may be willing to take a lead in this. We may need to work towards something like a Virginia Main Street program. How we do that, who we hire, how that's configured, needs to be sorted out. But we would see that position as a cost share position, possibly, hopefully, having some grant funds from some foundations to help support that, as well as shared cost by the town of Chatham to help cover that person's salary and overhead and maintenance costs and so forth. I think if something like that was formed, it may initially start off as under Chatham First, and it may morph into something bigger. The thing we saw at Locksboro was 30 years in the making. At some point in time, there would probably need to be a memorandum of record between the town of Chatham and this organization on who's having what responsibilities. But in the short term and immediate term, we need some kind of statement from the town of Chatham about your willingness to be involved in this overall effort. So to that end, and I'll just say this, if the town decided, I hope that this is not even really considered, but if the town decided it did not want to be involved in this, I think it's unlikely we could move forward. Because, as I mentioned at the beginning, the people that give us the money want to see a collaborative effort, and that collaborative effort has to involve the local government, in this case, time. So, what we're here to really ask is for insurance that the town plans to be involved in this process. We want to see the town drive this process as much as possible. Dick and I want to get out of this business, okay? If we can.
Badly.
Sooner the better. Huh?
Badly.
We want to get out of this. So don't think that we have our hands on this and want to do it. We don't. We want to be free of this, and we want somebody, if the board of the town wants to be involved in this, happy will be in the process.
Free of it from the day-to-day management.
The day-to-day stuff that we're having to do.
Red writing and all that kind of stuff having to be done.
Yeah, I would say this, I don't want to give the wrong impression. We would see this position, let's just say we had a position that was jointly funded between the civic organizations, foundations, and town Chatham. We did the day-to-day work on this, much like Rachel Gatewood and her company were doing for us in this phase two that we undertook. That doesn't mean that the civic groups are out of that loop, because Chatham First, Chatham Rotary Foundation are still there, and their intent and their role in this teamwork is to be able to go forward and request grant money and to work toward implementing those grants. So we are a resource. Those civic groups will remain a resource for whoever is leading this particular effort. Now, in this regard, I've got a couple things I'd like to leave. Some of this I've sent out, at least it's copied, given you a memorandum of understanding, foster life.
We have all of us should have a copy of this.
Yeah, you've all
And
got that, I think. All right,
also-
this is probably something down the road. We did put together kind of the generic functions of what a town development director would do, or what a development.
They also have a copy of that.
That looks like this. The other thing I have, which I wasn't able to get a digital copy of, and I'll leave with you, Janet, is a copy of the job description of the person that is doing the development director function in Wattsville.
Oh, okay, so this
That's
is separate than the memorandum of
Yeah.
understanding. Okay.
Okay, and finally, what Dick and I have done, and we did this today and looked at it, we have prepared a draft of what could be used as a resolution of support for this, which I will leave. It will be our hope that the town will affirm its support of this effort as soon as possible. I would note that it would be great if this could be done at the September meeting, because we've got an October deadline for this grant. And I will give you a glimpse of some of the stuff that the grant is going to contain. The grant will look something like this. That will be the primary logo. If you come back, at first it's like, I'm not sure I'm so crazy about this, but it grows on you, and if you put it up with some of the other brands that are out there, Dan and so forth, it fits in quite well with what you do. There are variants of that, which I'll pass it, have variants of that, that are showed different signs and so forth. Again, they're consistent in text, color, font, all that. And finally, for the various organizations and other things that would become expansion, I particularly like this one they're proposing for designating the historic district and the walking trails. So I'll pass this around, you keep it. That's all I have to say. We're open for questions, or Dick may want to add some comments.
Let me add one other thing, and that was, part of the phase two, I think it was not just the trail feasibility study and the brand new marketing plan, but the pickleball courts, it was the Silas Sport Park, it was the, Southwood paving, and the cleanup of Highway 57. So it included, that $146,000 includes all of that work. So, and the other thing is that, we've talked about this role of development director for some time. Most all of us have been involved in different meetings talking about it. And our hopes have always been to transition into a position where the town has the lead. To implement this thing takes somebody waking up at least a couple days a week thinking about development job. To keep the ball rolling, keep the momentum going, you gotta have somebody that's really tuned in to that growth and renewal plan and is working diligently to get it implemented. So, you know, we've talked about the possibility of, and I don't know what the town's appetite might be for this, but for a long-term cost-sharing agreement, where, as an example, maybe it's a 3-year agreement where we have a foundation grant that would provide funding for the majority of the cost of the